Hi, I'm Daniel Rhodes, and in this video we're going to be taking a quick look through some of my work and my design process in making it. To start off with, I will be mainly using my own website to help give you guys a bit more context into what I'm talking about. Links to my social media and website can be found in the description below and at the end of this video. But firstly, who am I? I'm a 3D artist and animator currently studying games design at Sheffield Hallam University. I love creating props and bringing them to life through animation. More recently, however, I've been working on things like 3D environments. I'll just give you a quick rundown of some of the software that I use to create the work I do. To start off with, we have 3ds Max and Maya, both software I've used to create most of my 3D models and animations found in my portfolio. But more recently I've been using 3ds Max exclusively. I also use tools such as ZBrush and Marvelous Designer from time to time to create models that are more organic and just simpler to create in these types of software. Onto the texture-based software, Substance Designer and Substance Painter. I'm fairly new at using these software packages, but over the last year they've become my go-to when it comes to texturing my models. To show off my work, I use either one of the two main game engines, Unreal or Unity, but when it comes to showing off singular models, I tend to stick with Marmoset. With the ability to embed a viewer within a web page, it makes it really easy and simple to show off your models, something that I'll be looking into doing more in the future. Then a quick mention to the Adobe suite, mainly Photoshop, Illustrator and InDesign, of which I use for various different tasks, from creating images and textures to documents and PDFs. If you want to find out a little more about me, you can visit the About Me section on my website, or follow me on my various social media channels. Recently, on things like Twitter, I've been sharing my thoughts on some of the game dev talks I've been to, along with the Game Awards. Before I go into detail on the design process behind one of my more recent projects, I'll give you a quick overview of my portfolio and the work that's currently on there, with more to come soon. Okay, so for the purpose of this video, we're going to be using my real-time environment project, and then maybe refer to some work that I'm currently doing when relevant. To start off with, I've created a project overview, defining exactly what I wanted to make, along with some design guidelines. In this document, you can see that I have picked out specific things I want to include or do, like using alcoves and outcrops, or along with a heavy focus on natural lighting. I then go on to discuss the possible colour scheme for my work and my reasoning behind this. After this stage, I do a lot of research into my chosen design and gather reference for various different areas. Lately, I've been using Pinterest to do most of this and find it's a great tool for quickly gathering loads of images into one place, and you can look back on it whenever you want. With this project in particular, you can see that I gathered a lot of real-world reference, so that I could recreate these objects as accurately as possible within Engine, researching into things like actual dimensions for these objects. I also had a look into work that had already been done by fellow creators, as I knew I was never going to be the only person that had done this before. For this project, I also had to look into using Marvelous Designer, as when this project was in development, I had not used this software before. You'll find yourself looking up how to do certain things in software throughout development, and for this, YouTube and forums are your best friend. Then it comes down to the planning stage, where you plan out exactly what you want to do for when, setting yourself small goals and milestones for you to hit along the way. Something else I find myself constantly doing is creating an asset list. I see these more of a to-do list for what I need to create. For an environment project, I also created things like a 2D floor plan to map out the spacing of my environment. But if you're doing a singular model, you may want to swap this out for a bit of concept art to help you visualize your idea. Next, the fun starts. You get to go on to start your modeling. Starting with a simple block out, you can begin to get a feel for the scale of the environment you're creating. I also took a screenshot from Unreal and created a paint over for this project to help give a visual representation of what I wanted it to look like when done. From here on, you're free to do all the modelling, UVing and texturing you want, gradually building up the scene, starting firstly with your bigger models and working your way down to the smaller ones, building out the scene and making it feel less empty. Finally, it comes down to the last few tweaks and making sure things like the lighting is correct. Then you're done. This is obviously a really simplified breakdown of the whole process, but it helps shed a bit of light on all the work that goes into creating something like this. Something that you may have noticed while I was showing you a glimpse into my workflow is that I originally aimed a lot bigger, then cut out certain areas of the project later on. I find it better to aim bigger and then reduce in scale than aim too small and not have enough. With this project in particular, I am maybe looking to revisit it at a later date, completing the 2 additional rooms. All in all, the design process for this project is very similar to others and can be altered slightly based on what you're wanting to create. I have to mention it may not be the best way and yours might be slightly different. I'm just showing you the way that works for me. There's no right or wrong here. So that's it. Before we end though, I want to give you a quick look at what I'm currently working on. If you want to contact me for anything, feel free to do so via any of the platforms linked here. Thanks for watching this video and I hope it gave you a bit of an insight into what I do.